I'm going to begin with the fact that I actually don't really know a lot about leadership. I've been in leadership positions probably my whole entire life, like small leadership, big leadership. How do we even define it? As a little kid, you're on the playground and you're putting people in order and you're gathering people and you're organizing people and you're actually kind of being a bit of a push. Like, I guess people have always said, I know how to tell people what to do, but not always so softly, right? And not to say in a bully way, but I've probably been a bit of that person. And so leadership has come naturally to me. And so I've always felt, wow, I must be intended for a big leadership role. And when I was in the university sector, all I wanted to do was climb that university ladder. All I wanted to do was be a vice president. I never wanted to be the president. I always wanted to be the vice president because there was an individual in my past who I loved and adored, who was the vice president of student services at the university where I did my undergrad. And I looked up to him like he was God. Well, he was, in fact, a former priest. And so I looked up to him and I always wanted to be him, to emulate him, to take his advice. He once said to me, silence, right? All you need to do in a response to a difficult situation in a communication scenario, don't say anything, right? And so I've always wanted to grow. I've not consciously always wanted that. It wasn't until I'd been working in the university sector. And so being in an advisor job wasn't enough for me. I wanted to be a manager. I wanted to be a supervisor. I took all the courses. I wanted to just grow. And then I did my master's, and then I did my doctorate, and then I left the university sector and moved to a rural New Zealand, which has been absolutely amazing. And where I was completely entrepreneurial and didn't even realize that, and was just trying to survive and continue to just be busy, be organized, get things done. And I guess when I saw a gap, I wanted to create something to fill that gap. Yes. And so here I am, right? Wondering, what do I actually know about leadership? And I spent my entire doctorate focused on learning more about leadership. And even in that, there was, I couldn't find anything. It wasn't enough. And so I created my own definition of leadership, right? Let's lead. Let's lead people not from a place of where people call you the bulldozer, even though you're getting stuff done. But it's let's lead from a place where you get things done, and at the end of the day, you can still reconcile who you are, who you are in that kind person perspective, and that kind, genuine, honest perspective. I guess all of my life, I've led from a place where my biggest and greatest influence has come from. And that's from the heart and from Jesus. And although I didn't always know it, what I was yearning for was Christian-led leadership, which eventually led me to principled leadership, which was my leadership definition, leading from a place of identity, authenticity, knowing who I am, spirituality based in faith and love and empathy for others, caring for others genuinely. And that took me even deeper over the last maybe 9 years in doing a wee bit of research, because I haven't done a lot, let's be honest. I'm new at this. I'm new in this field. I'm just getting going. And it's Jesus-led leadership. And Nancy led me to Jesus-led leadership, to put a label on it, right? And in some ways, probably my good friend, not in some ways, in many ways, my good friend Father James has always said this to me. He has always said, it's like leading as Jesus would want us to lead. Sharon, there's nothing new in what you're saying, right? I always took a bit of offense to that. But it's because I wasn't seeing what was right in front of me. What I was researching, what I was wanting to know more about was confirming, are there people out there who are leading in this way, who are leading from a place of love? And there are tons. There are kabillions, lots of people leading in this way. But what they're not saying, and what I didn't have the courage to say at the time, because even back then, what I had to do was explain what was spirituality, what's love, right? Can't say it from a Christian perspective. And so it was saying, no, it's having the courage to say, let's lead like Jesus. Let's be, the band, Jesus Freaks. Let's be Jesus Freaks. Let's lead with love. Let's lead with courage. Let's lead with spirituality as our basis, as our foundation. Let's lead by praying to our guardian angels. Let's lead by praying to God. Let's lead by praying to St. Michael to protect us from the evil that's out there in the world. That's what we need to do. We need to have courageous zeal to lead like Jesus. In the Catholic sense, lots of people are out there saying this all the time. Beautiful, amazing priests and nuns and religious alike. They wear their collars, they wear their habits. And I love them for that. But I don't. I'm out there in the world, in the secular world, and I've been begging God, why? Why? Put me in a convent. And my friends laugh, and my family laugh. Some of them are a little worried, like my husband, that I was going to do that. He still probably thinks that at some point, if he happens, the dear Lord takes him to heaven first, that I'll be at the first convent around the corner. And maybe I will. I don't know. God's will be done. But I have realized, after listening to an awesome homily this morning by Father Mike Schmitz, that God has equipped us. We have our inheritance. I've been waiting for my big thunderbolt. And you know what? The thunderbolt has always been here. I've never really truly understood the homily, Jesus, when he says, if you had the faith of a mustard seed, right? You could move that mulberry tree to the center of the ocean or the lake or wherever, right? Honestly. And so I have everything. I'm equipped. So I'm going to give it a go, and let's see where this goes.